You know, I always kind of have this feeling like I need to justify making a life update video, which is dumb because I did not feel any need to justify making a 20-minute video on a Christian pseudo manga. So like, why? However, even that like hesitancy to do so has been counteracted by the fact that, man, it's just this is the year to do one because I feel like just everything has shifted for everyone. So we're going to do a life update video. How's that sound, y'all? So first off, I want to say 2020 started out pretty great. I did not get as many videos in Mythology Month 2 done as I wanted. However, Ragnarok Week, I'm super proud of all of those. I also took a trip to New York, which was wonderful. Got to hang out with my friend Danny. We went to the Met, so I got to see all the art that I studied in college, like in real life, and I got to touch it. I didn't touch it. That'd be bad. I did not touch any of the art. But I could have. I could have just rubbed my oily hands all over the Pompeian wall paintings. And then we went to see Hadestown. I have a video on that. Man, Hadestown's great. What if I had tried to wait for the tour, which of course got canceled? Man, I'm so glad I took advantage of that opportunity to do that trip. That didn't last though. A couple weeks before the pandemic started, a tornado ripped through Nashville and specifically really damaged the neighborhood I grew up in. And I was still living at my parents' house at the time. Half the trees in my neighborhood were gone. Almost every house up on past a certain point had some amount of damage to it. A lot of those houses have been demolished now. My parents' house was fine. We were without electricity for a week, without Wi-Fi for 2. But that's the worst we got of it. But there's still that feeling where you see something so familiar that should remain fairly consistent and is tied like deep into you. And then you see it like destroyed. And that was rough. I wasn't a fan of that. And then the pandemic happened. I wasn't a fan of that one either. If I could be honest, if 2020 is asking, those two things we could have done without. 2021, when you're planning for that, maybe leave those two things out of it. But I think because I had kind of my priorities reset by the tornado, I wasn't really that affected by the pandemic at first. I'm like, okay, I will be responsible. I will stay at home. I will wear my mask, do all that stuff. But I didn't feel like I was being robbed of anything, which admittedly I wasn't. Like, I got furloughed from a job that I was planning on quitting. My other job I actually ended up getting more hours at. So like, I made it out fairly lucky, or at least at the beginning of the pandemic. There were also just good things happening at this point in my life too. Like, I moved here into my apartment and I started a weekly D&D game, the one that Tessa was talking about. And then I was able to keep distracting myself because not long after, the BLM protests had started. That was something that's like, yeah, this is bigger than me. It affects people other than me, but it's still something that I feel like I need to work on. I was able to work at that in a way that I wasn't able to work at the pandemic at all. But recently, kind of the weight of the pandemic has finally kind of hit me, right? And it's not that I'm anxious about getting it or anything. It's just, man, I want it to be over. Don't you? Like, everyone does, and everyone was. It's just, I hadn't really felt that till now, right? And that definitely has kind of given me more bad days than good days. It's not the only thing going on in my life that's making that happen, but it is one of them, and a big one at that. But and I think this is part of the reason why I don't like making these life update videos. When we tell this kind of story, we are crafting a narrative, and that narrative often falls into kind of these two camps, right? Things are going well, things are not going well. But that's not how my day to day, week to week life goes. When I driving back from the vacation I went on last weekend, I had my windows down, which I have to because my car doesn't have air conditioning, but it was a very lovely day. So I had my windows down, I was listening to some great music, and I was just driving past some beautiful scenery, and I felt the most content I have felt in a long time. And so like, if I had ended my video before telling you that, then you would think that, oh, man, Caleb's living a miserable life. But if I ended my video there, then you're like, oh cool, Caleb's on the up and up, right? You take it a day at a time though. There are inconsistencies, and that's where life really is found, in the inconsistencies. I want to create a narrative about my life that puts me in control, right? Like, I'm handling X well. But that's not always the case, and a lot of times I have to embrace the ambiguity, embrace the inconsistency. And so there's my life update. Life's a little inconsistent. There's some pretty bad stuff going on in the world. Sometimes I feel that. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I'm just cruising down the road, listening to some good music. And with all that being said, I will see y'all tomorrow.